Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for a podcaster who does it, who feels like a safe place is a space that shouldn't be the final frontier. It's a place that should be warm and as cool as the other side of your pillow. And it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Here's a couple of ways we're able to bring you this podcast twice a week for free. Hey, everybody, I wanted to tell you a bedtime story about one of tonight's sponsors. Once upon a time, there was a product designer, and they went to the dentist, and they said, dentist or doc in this situation, because it fits it better, what do I need to do to get really healthy teeth and gums? How often do I need to brush? What do I need to use? And the dentist said, well, just brush twice a day, gently and evenly, and make sure you're changing your brush head out about every 3 months. And the designer was like, whoa. What about high pressure brushes? What about lasers? What about all those gadgets and gizmos and those really high-end brushes? And that's how Quip was really invented, that light bulb moment that Quip can simplify your morning and your bedtime routine with the Quip electric toothbrush. And, I like everybody in my life to have a Quip. My brother Ken, I got it for him because of the sensitive sonic vibrations. It goes easy on sensitive gums, but it's an effective clean. Because some people brush too hard. Some brushes are just too powerful or too abrasive. So that's what I love for my brother Ken. Now, for old Scoots, what I love is a 2-minute timer that pulses every 30 seconds to remind you when to switch sides. That way my whole mouth gets brushed evenly, even when I'm daydreaming. And you'd be surprised, up to 90% of us don't brush for 2 full minutes or don't clean evenly. And I got my daughter Sophia covered. And if you have a kid in your life, Quip is perfect. They have a new kid's brush, same as the original version, just tweaked for sized down mouths. It inspires kids to brush better, more often. And you could use the same, they're using the same toothbrush as you. So it really becomes a little bit of part of a family routine, and they can feel proud to use Quip because you don't got to ask them, did you brush your whole mouth? They got the timer. They can establish their own grown-up routine that they'll use for the rest of their lives. And those are just a couple of reasons I love Quip. It's gentle, it's effective, you get your whole mouth clean, and it fits everyone in your life. With the back-to-school season, with the new routine we're all on, I feel like it's perfect to help you get back into that groove. And here's the best part. Quip starts at just $25 if you go to getquip.com/sleep. That's GETQUIP.com/sleep. You'll get your first refill pack for free. Right, Mr. Bard? That's your first refill pack for free at GETQUIP.com/sleep. Thanks. Hey, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. And I got a bunch of people that supported Native deodorant. People are loving all of the scents, the fact that it's made natural and kind. So I wanted to thank Mariah, Mickey, and Jacqueline, who all checked out Native deodorant. And if you want to check out a sponsor, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors and let me know about it, especially if you check out Native. If you want to know what I'm wearing right now, I'm rocking the charcoal from the travel pack. Native's been a deodorant I've used on a daily basis, and actually only once a day is all I've needed. So whether you want to smell like Scoots or just smell great, check out Native, check out the rest of our sponsors. And if you do, be like Mariah, be like Mickey, be like Jacqueline. Let me know about it. That's the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Vale Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. And remember, a huge way to help the show is just to let one or two people know about the podcast. Share it with them. Show them how to find, how to use their podcast app, how to subscribe, maybe even some daytime podcasts to check out. But whether it's in your personal community or your online community, just sharing your natural experience with the show helps the podcast grow, and I really appreciate it. And I hear from people all the time that appreciate those of you that let them know about the show. So thank you so much. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside set aside your thoughts, feelings. I never get lost this early in the podcast. I'm going to send my voice across the deep dark night. No, that's too early. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to do, attempt to do, this is like a little bit of a podcast short circuit, or a 2-for-1. What I'm going to attempt to do is attempt to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. So it could be thoughts did I just botch a podcast intro? Well, no, it's a friendly show. We're here to put people to sleep. You can't really botch it. But I'll see you thoughts later at bedtime, I'm sure. But so if you have thoughts like that, I guess, has botch been used in this podcast before? Maybe we'll have to take that word back, because it is a powerful word, and we want to massage it and tone it down. Word massage, a new service by Scooter. I'll see if I can remember. So whether it's thoughts, it could be feelings, whether they're feelings about the thoughts, physical sensations, feelings about the past, present, or future. It could be other intangibles. I don't know, if they're intangible, right? You don't know. You might not know. There's sometimes where I can't drift off. It's just baffling. Travel, changes, work, whatever it is, I'm here to help. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a safe place where you can come in, you could visit, you could peek in at a distance. This is one of the few safe places you could attend by imaginary binocular or telescope. You say, well, I'd like to check that safe place out you got there, Scoot. So I'm going to be, I get a new, a new thing, a monocular. And I'll check it out at a distance. And I said, that's great. It works at a distance, too. Across the room, across the universe, because I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I also use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, a bit like a frog's voice mixed, with something nice. So frogs would say, our voices, they're actually not our voices, one, Scooter. And okay, I didn't think I'd get caught in a frog quibble this early because I'm supposed to massage some words later. But creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, uhs and ahs and those groans or ers, whatever it is. That sometimes it's not like a parody of itself, but I say okay. But so I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff. Now, if you're new, I'm glad you're here. And let me give you a little bit of a, overview, I guess. So this podcast is very different. So that's one thing to know up front. And it's structured different. It feels different. So see how it goes. You might have, it might be very, very different than your expectations, right? And that's okay. And it doesn't work for everybody, but a lot of people say it takes a few tries to work for it, and view it with a loose skepticism, almost like you're doing, you're flying by, instead of like, okay, I'm working on this theorem and I'm going to be like a bird flying by a scientist instead of the scientist. You see, I'm going to listen via scientific method tonight, Scoots. And I'd say, well, let's keep the scientific method in the daytime or the nighttime, whatever your work schedule is or your hobby schedule. Right now, we're just like a bird flying by. You say, there's a person down there in a white coat working on something. I believe humans call those beakers. But, and that's funny because I got a beak. And, well, no, there's a cloud. I like how there's another bird. I'm going to go sing a little song with them. Is that a frog's voice I hear? Because I know frogs don't have a voice. It's just a sound they make. So kind of let it drift in one ear and out one ear and see how it goes. There's no pressure, really, because I just hope it can help you go to sleep. That's, and it doesn't work for everybody, but again, it's different. So again, if you're skeptical or you're like, what? Yeah, I mean, I am glad you're here. I really do want to help you fall asleep. Now, structurally, what to expect is your show starts off with a few minutes of business. It's usually like 4 minutes of business that is able for us to keep the podcast free for everybody. So I appreciate getting through that and the people that act on that, because then it's like, great. Our engaged community keeps the podcast free for everybody. Very cool. And then there's an intro. Now, sometimes, particularly if you're new, this is why I say give it a few tries, because you'll see what you like and how it works for you. The intro is a rambly introduction to the podcast. It takes about 12 minutes. It's not an ad or a commercial, or it really has no agenda, except here's a couple possible ways listeners use it. And why it's so long and rambly is just, it's based on, I guess it's based on feedback. Because like people that just want to get to the Star Trek stuff, which is later, you could skip ahead to that. But because the intro is about 12 to 14 minutes, it gives you time to wind down if you're in bed, or get ready for bed, or ramp down. Just like, I guess so let's pretend, let me give you the rest of the structure, then we'll do some pretending. As if any of this is not, like I live in the world of pretend, I guess. So that's the intro. It's just a long wind down. And then if you start listening, you say, well, the intro's not really for me because it doesn't go anywhere. You could say, well, I'm just going to listen to the stories, or I'm going to join the Patreon and just listen to story only episodes. But a lot of listeners find, I don't know, I get tons of different ways that people listen. They listen during the day, or they fall asleep during the intro, or they fall asleep very early in the intro, or they fall asleep after the intro as they wind down and get comfortable. And so that's the intro. Then tonight we'll be talking, and then there's some business tucked between the intro and the show. So I think that's sometimes where it throws people off. They like hear the beginning, then they try to skip the intro, then they hear, that's just a structure, kind of similar to most structure of podcasts is. So there's a business between the intro and the show. And then we'll talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation in a way that will kind of, mostly it's like, it could be, it is like pretty fan based as far as like the character, the fans. I'm, fan. Is there any characters, regular characters I don't super enjoy? It's more of like Scoot's talking about an episode, like which character is going to delight me the most, or performance is going to delight me the most. Because it could be different is it going to be Riker? Is it going to be Picard? Is it going to be Data? Is it going to be Dr. Crusher? Is it going to be Geordi? Is it going to be Wesley? Okay, here's one that's unlikely. O'Brien, probably unlikely, but O'Brien could delight me, though. Worf, oh, boy. Other main characters, Lieutenant Troy, yeah. Could be any of those characters or the ones that I'm forgetting that I apologize to wholeheartedly. But Pulaski, maybe not in this episode because you weren't in it, but so it'll be like you could listen to it whether you watched Star Trek: The Next Generation or not. It's just kind of it's just a structure for me to meander around, I guess is what I'm saying. And again, if you're new, see how it goes and say, okay, well, I'm a huge Next Generation fan, Next Gen fan, so I kind of skip those. Or I like to listen to those during the day or when I'm taking a bath to relax. So that's the structure. So then there's some thank yous at the end. Here's the thing. This is a podcast you don't really need to listen to or pay attention to. You can, or you can barely listen, or you could pretend, you could just kind of like tune in and tune out. But if you need to listen, I'm here to the very end. So if you can't sleep, or you're waking up and you just need a little nighttime buddy, I'm here. And that goes to the other thing. There's no pressure to fall asleep. This show is more to be here as you drift off and to take your mind off of stuff, to keep you company than it is to really put you to sleep. So you fall asleep at your leisure and just see how it goes. So whether it takes you, like some regular listeners, 2 minutes to fall asleep, or you really need the episode because something is going on, or you just can't, I'm here to the very end. I'm giving it my all for you because I do believe you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a little bit of relief and that to make bedtime like at least neutral, if not something to say, hey, at least I got Scoots there. Scoots is going to try to right now make a metaphor about word massaging the word botch. And I guess the intro is a good parallel for that, because it's just like if I did have one, I think I would be out of business. Sorry, word massage. Appointments and walk-ins available. Walk-ins always available because we haven't had anyone make an appointment yet. And let's just say there's a world where words are walking around and botch comes in. Or botched. Oh yeah, botched. Oh boy, that's even more letters. I gotta get my extended table. Don't worry, botched. I'm ready for you. Now I don't really get a lot of massages, but I know there's kind of a ritual or a process. Process might be a better word for a massage. There's the waiting room. There's the introduction to the person if they're new. Then there's you're getting ready. And the kind of like a little, not pomp and circumstance, but you could say a lower level version of that. Like, I'm not just going to take Botch and say, okay, Botch, let me start working on that B, because, oh boy, does it look like at the beginning of where I should start. I'd say, first I'd review Botched, and it'd say B-O-T. They say, wow, can't be, maybe it was some rapport building. That just might, and you could say, well, I prefer a quiet, massage. And I say, well, let me introduce you to my partner, Oots. No talking from Oots. But in this case, for Botch says, hey, chat me up. I said, well, I don't know if I could chat. I said, well, maybe, this is how before they say this is how it normally works. He said, man, like, I don't know if let me just kind of work your associations out of you. That's where I like to start. And so I'm going to, do some of this, do some of that. I don't know if you could feel my hands moving. And yeah, who does that feel good? Yeah, it's like, let it out. You're just a bunch of letters that I can't quite spell put together, like TCHED, maybe BO. And even BO, you might have your own associations when the two of you say, well, that's usually B dot period, O period. And I say, yeah, oh yeah, let me get in there. Oh boy, yeah, okay, I can sense it there. Where that dot is, the psychic dot of the BO. Yeah, let me just air that out, get some freshness in here. And botched, yeah, you see, wow, TCH is, that hits the palate. So, Yeah, I'm just going to put my elbow down there and work that right out of you. And say, yeah, oh, yeah, no, I know it's not easy. But think about this. What if, here's the thing. I usually like to misquote famous people, influential in thought, body, mind stuff. And I would say that, Carol Dweck, Carol Dweck, you're right, botched. I botched that one. She would say, if you have a growth mindset, then you could start to see botching as an opportunity. And that's just the truth. So, yeah, I mean, the whole world hasn't embraced the growth mindset, and it's not, I don't think it comes natural to me, but I'm working on it, and now I'm working you. Oh, you're right. You are my client. I shouldn't be making it about me. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're here, Botch. Instead, I usually tell stories. So maybe I'll just try. How about this? You just lie there and you just be in this moment. Right now, you're just all of these letters and a word botched with no meaning lying on my table in my office, in my studio here. And I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation while you unwind and sink into that. And while listeners may be listening and getting ready and getting into their beds and getting more comfortable. And I appreciate all of you coming by. I work very hard. I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. So thank you so much for your time. And here's a couple of ways we're able to keep this podcast free for everybody. Thanks. Hey, everybody, it's time to talk about the sponsor I thank every night. I say thank goodness for Casper, because you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping. You should be comfortable. Oh, and I am so comfortable. A few of the things I thank every night, thank goodness for Casper, as I say. One is all the hard work from the experts at Casper to make a quality sleep surface that cradles your natural geometry in all the right places. I also think about my daughter, Sophia. She sleeps in the original Casper, which combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with just the right amounts of both sink and bounce. And my parents sleep in original Casper, too. And I know my dad likes the breathable design that helps you sleep cool and regulate your body temperature throughout the night. Now, you should also know Casper has 3 other mattresses, the Wave, the Essential, and the Hybrid. And that's what Scoots is sleeping on. The Hybrid combines the pressure relief of the award-winning foam with durable yet gentle springs. And we also know that buying a mattress, you shouldn't have to break the bank, or bake it, right, right, as the Mystery Bard sings in a minute. And Casper has affordable prices because they cut out the middle person. They sell directly to you. They have hassle-free returns if you're not completely satisfied. You can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free sleep on a trial. You get to try it. Right, Mr. Bard?
Buying a mattress shouldn't break the bank, so that's why every night I thank goodness for Casper. Thank goodness for Casper. Shockingly low prices for high-quality mattress. The promo codes change, so don't make a mistake. SLWDWIT.
So that's it. Don't wait. Think about that bed you're in now. And then think about me. I'm in that Casper Hybrid. My family, we got the original Casper. Co's got a Casper dog bed. And you can get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/sleepwith and using Sleepwith at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. I'm going to say that one more time so you can hear me. Get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/sleepwith and using Sleepwith at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks, Casper. All right, everybody, we're talking about the Sims of the Father with an N. Just in case that word, it's from season 3, episode 17 of the Star Trek The Next Generation. And it's around more episodes, so you know it's going to be good. And this continues kind of our getting to know Klingons a little bit better series, and Romulans a little bit less so, because, you know, they're still in the neutral zone, on the other side of the neutral zone. And we have kind of Worf to help us ease our, get to know things. Start date, according to Captain's log, is like 4368 5.2 or something. And we get an update on the exchange program. A Klingon's going to be the first officer. This is when Riker and Picard are walking. Use the term patronize. We'll go through some of the dialogue. Commander Kern, I think, is the name of the person. What does it say? Request to energize? Maybe something like that. It's not O'Brien working in this, whatever, transporter room. They put teleport here. Question that we'll answer later is how long are shifts on the Enterprise? Because that came up. So Kern comes in. He says, right, because he's going to be the first officer. He says, you're relieved, bruh. Then he says he's ready for duty. This is really, there's a lot of, this is so definitely worth watching, not for just the story and the content, but for the moments, holy moments. Just some classic exchanges. So he says he's ready for duty. He has a stare down like, what up, Riker? I'm in charge now, as they walk out of the transporter room. Then he gives a speech on the bridge, which is, he's no joke, this Klingon. He is a Commander Kern. Discipline, not what you're used to. What would... Oh, this is like stuck out to me. So Wesley and Data are whispering, and you say, like WTF, like no whispering on the bridge, especially when your new commander's speaking. And I don't know what, I mean, Wesley's a young person, so, but Data, I said, Data, what are you doing whispering with Wesley when your new commander, it's just, it seemed like a lack of respect to me. Or, I mean, I guess it's like a foreshadowing a bit, and kind of a, like a, not a mini B plot, more of a plot to, misdirect plot. But I mean, I would send them to the brig. I mean, no offense. I mean, I would get in trouble for whispering all the time too. Crow awards, orders, crew awaits orders, at 2:35, I think it's 2:45 because I'm looking, maybe not 2:35. Oh, no, yeah, it is 2:35. Kern sits down, a really classic moment worth watching. They head to the outer commentary cloud, which is hard to say because it's commentary, not commentary. But Picard is impressed, and then the episode opens. Let's see if there's any, they're reflecting on Riker's time at the pod. I'm going through the dialogue now. Be sure the crew's prepared for any unusual orders. Kern's probably studied before he got here. He requested Enterprise specifically. He comes on board. He's rocking his belt and everything. Yielding first officer, may I take my station? Riker says, what if I show you your room? He goes, dude, I'm here to work, not to lie around. Then he says, yeah, you're going to address me commander or sir at all times. I know all the Starfleet. I know your files. And with your permission, Captain, I'll be a disciplinarian. And then he says, when Wesley's, he says, we'll see if you live up to your reputations. What are you doing whispering, Crusher? You got something to say? No. And then they head out. Okay, then we're at 9 forward. Is that what it's called? 10 forward. I'm only welcome at 4 forward, 4 below. Like they say, you scoot your band from 10 forward, 9 forward, 7, 6. They say you could go to 4 below, which is like a below deck hangout. It's just, was formerly a broom closet. And that's where me and Stan hang. Okay, they're at the bar. Riker goes up to Will. He does his classic legs swing. Wes has a suck it face. Then Geordi comes in, also very grouchy. And I don't normally comment. Geordi's like, we're going to have to work double shifts. Even Riker gives a big sigh. But these staffers are weak, man. I was not impressed at how, because they say, Riker goes, let me get this conversation with Wesley. Something up with Commander Kern? Yeah, I can't do anything right. He's on my case. And then Riker says, problem, Jordy? He goes, yeah, he goes, what, did they find something in engineering? He goes, yeah, inspection, while we're doing maintenance. And he goes, oh, we don't do inspections during maintenance. And Riker goes, well, Riker first is like, well, it's different. They believe in strict formality of command. And Jordy goes, this isn't a Klingon vessel. He's got to loosen up. Kind of like he's a new camp counselor or something. Wesley, they're like, he's on everybody's case except for one person who wouldn't mind it. Then we go to Worf. Let's see. And this is like the most non-passive aggressive, just a full passive. Kern's going full baby mode on Worf. He goes, oh, very good. You handled that well. Worf's face at 640's worth about $1 million. Then we switch to Riker on the, I'll go through the dialogue, but Riker's like picking below his lip, thinking on the elevator. I'll also put down that Tony Todd is the actor playing Kern, a very famous actor. 156 trip to Captain's Mess for me. I don't know if that's a number. This was the first time I went to the Captain's Mess in an episode, I think. A suggestion, question mark? Okay, Riker kind of has to talk, violate chain of command. Wasn't anybody paying attention when that fish dude that was on that episode recently? That was the same episode where Riker was on the thing, but Riker raises his voice. There's a I said, WTF, dude. What kind of Starfleet third commander are you? Riker glares. Then we're at the officer's message, turkey and comedy. Well, this was one thing I thought was funny. I didn't put the time at this, but Data's standing by. So I just presume Data doesn't eat. This is another thing I just don't know. And I could probably learn that if I paid attention or anything. But he's standing right by the turkey as, of course, Picard's carving a turkey. I put by the food like a goof. He's just standing there. This is kind of awkward. I say, okay, I'm only comfortable talking to this person, and now they're carving the turkey. Better stand by them while they carve the turkey. We get a Caspian Sea shout out. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Worf and Kern. Oh, great job. Very good. You've handled that well. Worf doesn't like how easy's going on him. Okay, Riker says to Kern on the elevator, or whatever that thing is called, You're very impressive, your knowledge, but I'd like to make a suggestion. The dude's like, a suggestion, bruh. Haven't you been on really? I mean, I think some people might handle it more diplomatically, but I think even Picard would be like, he told the blue guy, you talk to Worf, he's your commander. But Riker says, Riker's being passive aggressive. He goes, oh, when I was on board the pod, it was hard for me to adjust to the crew, you know. I had to adjust to who I am. Maybe I could help you. And the guy goes, no, thanks. And Riker goes, yeah, this isn't a Klingon ship, by the way, a super pad. And then he goes, yeah, now you would know it if it was, because you'd already be outside floating by. Then we have a comedy about the turkey and the replicator. I did find it strange that Kern doesn't like, what do you call that, caviar, because he said, well, I want something a little bit more edgy. So I thought that was, and then Data tries to explain that. A lot of fun. Really, this was your comic relief scene. They sit down to eat. He doesn't like the food. They say, Troy says, how are things going? He goes, well, I almost had to take, Riker. He says, it's just a really good scene. And Picard has to bring everybody in line. He says, yeah, the exchange program's about tolerance. And he goes, shaking up the status quo. And then Geordi and Riker still can't let it go. Riker has to say, well, he's keeping us on our toes. Geordi goes, and then some, no offense. And he goes, yeah, none taken right now, but I won't forget it, Geordi. And, yeah, he goes, if we were on another ship, you'd be in big trouble. And then, Caspian Sea, let's see. Orchids are on the table. Oh, it looks like they were drinking fruit punch or something out of flutes. Also, everyone seemed like they had potatoes and broccoli. Both, that's great. Like boiled or steamed potatoes. Smaller ones, like a selection of colorful ones. I don't know if people call those new potatoes. I don't know why they got the term new potatoes. They say, oh, it's not one of these regular old-fashioned kind. It's a new potato. It's purple, red, and other colors. A dude would be good. Oh, yeah, this guy, I don't know, maybe he was on, but this character, Kern, would be great in Game of Thrones. He's got a little bit of Tormund going, early Tormund, too bland, Geordie, Geordie goes, the food, Geordie also steps on something, he goes, when, Kern says, this food's too bland. He goes, Worf seems to love our food. And they say, Geordie, seems, okay. Then Worf, seems to agree with Worf. Then we're at Kern's room. Doorbell rings. He says, enter. It's Worf. His hands are behind his back. Kern kicks back in a chair to listen. Then they kind of go back and forth like an old married couple. Mev yap, this is a purpose for a carve, league, or old broomstick. I don't know. That is a purpose for Cavalier and older Browski. Fitting in details, big news, the challenge, question mark, big music. Maybe it's older brother? That is the purpose, repose for Kevlogger and older Broski, fitting in details. I mean, basically what happens is Worf says, dude, why are you on my not on my case by being on my case? And they go back and forth about being a true Klingon. Worf kind of goes, Klingon. And he goes, by the way, he goes, it wasn't being hard on you. I just wanted to check if you were a real Klingon. You had the heart of a Klingon, because that's what I would expect from my brother. And they go, then they fill in, oh, yeah, I was one when you went to Kitmer. Mother and father were just supposed to be a quick work trip. No Stan Lorg. And that was just, then Worf goes, geez, I'd heard you weren't around anymore. And they said, yeah, they thought I was Lorik's kid when nobody came back here. And he goes, that's why you're on the Enterprise, keep an eye on me? He goes, well, I want to see what kind of Klingon you were. And he goes, well, you're deceiving me. He goes, well, it's required. He goes, because your curiosity. He goes, no. A challenge to Klingon High Council. Father's a traitor. So it's a big music. Then Picard and Worf are meeting. There's slow zooms on both of them. As Worf says, my dad's been set up or something, so I got to go defend his honor. And Picard goes, well, what do you know? He goes, not much. I'll find out. Duras was my father's rival. He goes, it'll disgrace our name for 7 generations. I got to clear it. It's, Picard goes, well, if I understand it correctly, or first he goes, yeah, I'm responsible for my father's mistakes. He goes, will you grant me leave? And Picard goes, no, a respected member of my crew is in a fix here, and your actions reflect on me in the Federation, so I should go with you. Be at your side. And so there was like a touching moment. There's a lot of nice touching moments, especially with Picard and Worf. Will you grant me leave? No. Bridge, Kern, Empire, great look at 1545. 9-4, the brothers talk, Chadich. Worf does the tough lean in. On this ship, I obey you, but as Chadich, you obey me. Yes, brother. Then we see the Enterprise over a greenish blue planet. Lightning, temples. We're on Cloud, Mist Music, and then Riker, Worf, Picard, and Kern, which again always seems like, yeah, you just send everybody down there. They go right into a courtroom, and Worf goes and makes a speech. So let's see. On the bridge, they go to the first city of the Klingon Imperial Empire, and they kind of Worf and Kern talk at 10 forward or 4 below. Yeah, well, yeah, I need a chat each. Will you be my chat each? Yes. Sons of Moog or Mog stand together, family honor. And Worf goes, no, you're going to keep it quiet. You're my chat each. I'm going to take the heat. You're still whoever that other dude's kid is. Also thinking, which we kind of already knew, is that Picard has a lot of latitude with Starfleet to kind of do missions. Guess it kind of is a diplomatic mission. So when court starts, Worf says, yeah, I'm son of Moog. I'm challenging this case. And they say, are you prepared to take on, things if the case doesn't work out? He goes, oh, yeah. And he says, who are you? And Kern goes, I'm Chadich, man. I'm Worf's Chadich. And this Duras is a real, real J-E-R to the K. On Worf's case, talking, hear my own request. Picard's here. He goes, so what are you wearing a kid's uniform for with outsiders? He goes, dude, I'm like Jean-Luc Picard. And Picard, because we've done a lot. Worf's done a lot. Very proud of him. And we're here to help. In the head of Compaq or whatever, it says, okay, I could see this. Your commanding officer. And Duras goes, so at some point the truth has got to come out. And now it has that Moog is sold us out to the Romulans of all people. And even takes Worf's thing off. And Worf goes, the day isn't over, bruh. Like, just wait. And then they say, well, let's take a break and we'll do the case later. Let's see, where are we? Okay. Calls out Worf up in his grill. Takes off sash. Good day. Recess. Back to the bridge. Picard, they go back to the bridge. Picard goes, Data, get on it. Do this. Computers, give me these reports. Troy was with Picard. So I assume he was also consulting her before the scene started. You know, give me a breakdown of the head of the judge and High Counsel and Duras. Worf and the judge just speak alone. Oh, someone also hands a secret note to Kern, like, hey, meet me at the playground in 20 minutes. And the head judge, he says, why'd you bring a challenge? Why does it even matter, man? You don't even live here anymore. He goes, it's my father. And he goes, so let the past be. Mekba, I think maybe that's that dude's name. He goes, why are you going to dishonor my dad? And then Data and Riker are doing some research, and then they call it Dr. Crusher even. So really, this has happened before where you see everybody gets behind the person who needs it. I guess Geordi wasn't there, but they say they don't know if they needed any engineering help. Or Wesley. I'm just laughing at the facts, but what does that say? I don't know. Then there's a secret meeting with Kern and I think Duras. He goes, we know you're Worf's brother, man. We're all ha ha ha. Give up the case. He goes, no, he's my brother. And then they try to send him to the Klingon, the equivalent of the big farm in the sky for Klingons. And they go to a commercial. When we come back, we realize he's okay. He's at the med bay under Dr. Crusher's care. But they say, geez, Duras already knows he's my brother. And Crusher goes, Worf, you sound like you already lost. I thought I thought you were Worf, Positivity City. And everyone giggles at that. Then Data has some proof. He says, he goes, look at, I got some, he goes, actually, according to Moogs, he goes, I got all these communication databases, right? And he goes, Moog did send the, shield codes out. He goes, these are the real records. It's Geordi and Riker, I think, helping him. Oh, so Jordy is helping. I'm sorry, Jordy. I forgot about you there. But then they say, well, there's gaps in the logs. Then Jordy goes, the timestamps fall out of sync. They're really digging into the metadata. And so they go, this has got to be a cover up. The timestamps should have never fallen out of sync because they were in sync at one point, and then when the gaps occur, they fall out of sync. Then we have Picard and Worf. Because cover up city, yo. We'll do some of that dialogue. Not Duras, but the whole city council. Picard's the new Chadich. I ask you, I'd like the gesture. Oh, this is a really touching scene. Okay, so Picard and Worf are in Picard's ready room or his office, right? It's a bit like Winter Soldier, maybe, because he says, this is a cover-up, man. This is goes to the top from the bottom, I think. And we'll figure it out, though. It goes, could be the whole council involved. And then Worf goes, well, I lost my Chadich. I got to pick a new one. I'd like to pick someone from the crew. And Picard goes, choose whoever you wish. He goes, I choose you. Just like, he goes, remember that Simpsons episode where Ralph Wiggum gave Lisa gave Ralph Wiggum a Valentine and said, I choose you. He goes, I choose you as my Chadich. Choose my Chadich. That was a hit. Anyway, and he goes, well, don't you want someone tougher? And right, Worf goes, dude, anybody tougher than you? Someone smoother? Worf goes, well, you're smoother than Riker, really. Someone cooler? And Worf goes, I can't ask a cucumber, because they're not a member of the crew. They're a replicated vegetable from Earth. And Picard knows some Klingon, so he says, I accept. Worf does say, I can think of no one I'd rather have at my side. Big breath on the acceptance from Picard. Okay, then we're at Picard, or then we're back in court. Picard and Worf, and Picard goes, Worf goes, my challenge will proceed. And then Duras is disrespecting everybody or whatever. And they say, what are you doing here? This isn't a spaceship, Picard. He goes, I'm not here to command. I'm the Chadich. Yeah, they say, Starfleet does not teach you or something. They go, somebody says, you're not, are you really tough? Obviously, he goes, Picard goes, you may test that assumption, something, we'll look at that. But it reminds me, I wonder if the episode with young Picard was before or after this, because when you've seen young Picard, you say, well, that's a mistake. Picard's B to the A to the D to the A to the double S's. Crusher tells Riker, oh, is this like, maybe, I don't know if this is the scene or not. This is on the ship. Crusher calls Riker and says she found a clue on the Klingon central net. So this was, again, how forward-thinking the show was. Then we go to Duras making the case, for the cover-up. See, Starfleet doesn't teach you to be tough. Picard says, you may test that assumption at your convenience. So, yeah, then they find out that they kind of have, someone that worked with Worf's family. Then Duras, totally makes the case. We also learn, much like grandparents and, with the phones in movie theaters, Picard doesn't realize in the middle of a court case, he should have his communicator on vibrate or not on speakerphone. When he answers it, he could answer with his headset and say, okay, I'll call you back. But he puts it on speaker. Yeah, I think he had it on, one of those remember those phones that were also walkie-talkies? But Riker calls, he goes, dude, we got a crack in this case, Commander. Picard goes, sorry, I'm in the middle of a, Supreme Court case. And I'm Chadich. Let me just sneak over here. Kalest, was someone, Picard tells Worf then, I got to go meet Callist in the old quarter. This is another great moment. 3245, Worf goes, I don't know if that's a good idea. You go into the old quarter. Picard goes, hey, I'm your Chadich, all smooth and calm. But Duras' lackeys are watching. We go to a commercial. Then I said, holy return of the Jedi, for real. Because Picard's in full Luke Skywalker at Jabba's palace and Jedi undercover mode. Except he's more in a green quilt. And he goes up to Kala's house. She says, what do you want? Picard goes, who's the traitor? She goes, I don't know. But Picard knows there's something up. He goes, well, then Worf's in trouble. I gotta leave. She goes to leave then, Jadich. And Picard goes into the mist. He goes, well, I guess Worf's case is lost then. Then he has a showdown with Duras' minions, and they get a taste of the old flyboy Picard from back in the day. And when Picard needs his own Chadich, Kallest comes out in her bathrobe and sweeps it up. And then Picard gets an idea. He says, Kallest, what if we just shake loose the truth? She goes, what do you mean? He goes, you ever see a Tom Cruise movie with Jack Nicholson? All good men or something. It's called A Few Good Men. It's called. And she goes, it hasn't come out yet. He goes, well, this will be a plot point, and it actually has. But you're right, depending on the timeline. He goes, we'll close this case. He goes, just like they did, it'll work. And then Picard rolls in, just different than the movie, but it seems similar. He rolls into court. He goes, I got an eyewitness, yo. In an open council, Duras talks about Kallest, but the judge knows her. They used to date. He goes, it's good to see you again. And then they sit down for a private meeting, and he goes, I asked you guys to leave. Now it's come to this. And it turns out that the whole thing is a cover-up for Duras' dad because he's rich and powerful, typical, and, Duras is a little BRA to the T. Then Picard goes, well, then Worf's challenge is successful. And the dude goes, there was no challenge. This was a straw trial or whatever they call it. And then we get a taste of Picard outrage, which is, always good. Let's see if we can dig up the thing, because the total thing with Kallest works, where they just bring her in for a minute and they go, well, we just know what she knows. We'll just go to the press, more or less like that. If you won't do it in open court. But he goes, okay, so then the judge says, we just can't do this. It'll cause, he goes, don't you know, didn't your country once have, whatever they're called, whatever they were called, and they go, oh yeah, that's, who do you think owns the company that makes, all the replicators? Anyway, so then everybody has a laugh, and they say, so Picard goes, you can't make judgments here. You just, he goes, we'll break up with the Federation. He goes, you can't just make orders, Picard. And Picard goes, the alliance with the Federation is not based on nonsense, Kempek. You could keep your secrets, but you can't, railroad this case and Worf and his brother. And Worf sets up, he says, and then Picard says, don't Worf. And he goes, Chadich will be silenced. He goes, cover him up for my brother. Let him live his life. And I'll take the blame. And Duras goes, no. And Worf goes, I'll give you even something better. Discommendation. And Duras goes, in open court? He goes, yeah, I'll take it. I'll blame my dad. And this really gets to Justice's thing. He goes, wow, you really are a Klingon at heart. You're putting a Klingon homeworld in the aristocracy, just like everywhere else, the aristocracy first, to keep the peace for everybody. And then Worf rolls in up on Duras and goes, well, even though your daddy's rich, he's the one that caused the Kitmer thing. Don't forget about that. And then somebody says, no, I'm ready. Let's see. Oh, then now Worf says, now I'm ready. Then his brother's like, why are you going to do this cover up? Why are you going to cover up for me? I want to get blamed too. He goes, no, oh no, Picard has to tell his brother. He goes, he needs you, man. There's going to be another day. Don't forget this. We're going to make a comeback on this one. And they do a nod. And then everybody turns their back on, everybody in the High Council turns their back on Worf, crosses their arms, turns their back. Even his brother has to, because he's been, hexed out or whatever. And then Worf and Picard energize out, and the episode comes to a close. In what was a very classic, amazing episode of Star Trek. Yeah, no, it was Star Trek. I don't know why my brain went on that. Okay, let's look at our notes. For SAT, and patronize is a good word. Because we have patrons, it's to act as a patron, supporter, sponsor, to go as a customer on a regular basis, or to treat in a condescending nature. It's just ironic, like the word gets used both ways. I guess like to be a patron and with irony, passive aggressive irony or something, like insincerely. But that's spelled Patronize, patronize. Okay, I wanted to look up shifts on Enterprise. Let's see, technical data, physical arrangement, operations. The bulk of people on Enterprise could get off in 4 minutes, which would happen at Starbase 74. There's places people could hide out. Shipboard life, average day aboard the ship. This was like in Data's day. 4 birthdays, 2 transfers, 2 chess tournaments, school play, promotions, and a birth. The Enterprise normally ran on 3 shifts. Increasing to 4 shifts caused scheduling problems, like in chain of command. So usually it's 3 shifts, which makes sense. Those are 8, 16, 24. Commanders of ensign rank were required to share crew quarters, but were allowed their own quarters upon promotion to lieutenant junior grade. Families shared quarters. 10 forward was the center of the ship's social activity. 4 below was where scoots went. And the holodecks are on 10 and 12, which I always wondered for crew, entertainment for the crew. It says there, though. Oh, here's the ship's directory. This is interesting. Deck 2, Worf and Data had the rooms. Deck 7, maybe Worf had his room at another point. Deck 8, Troy, Riker. They were only 1 room apart, according to this, 910 and 912. Crusher's quarters, Troy's office, Lauren's quarters, also Deck 9, could have been Troy's quarters, Jean-Luc Picard's on 3601, which could be on Deck 9, Crusher could be on Deck 9. So this is interesting. 3 shifts, which I've worked at places that had shifts, and normally they weren't 9 to 5 shifts. I think they ended at 3, a lot of them. And they were in the county. So I don't know if they were 8-hour shifts anyway. Maybe they're 8.5 or 9 because you don't get, you got to work your lunch break. I think you work 8.5 hours. You were at work for 9. I can't remember. I think you had to be at work for 9 hours because you got 2 15-minute breaks and a half-hour unpaid lunch. So 8.5 hours, I guess. But it also gives you overlap when you're switching. So 7 to 3, 3 to 11. and then 11 to 7. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were on Enterprise because they simulated, I think they said simulated days. Okay, let's talk about the great Tony Todd, who grew like so many movies, a lot of movies we've seen. But like he was a voice in Transformers, and he's just been in a lot of movies. Like all the other movies are great movies. He's from the Eugene O'Neill National Actors Theater Institute. Grew up in D.C. and Hartford, Connecticut. He's been in movies, films, and he's in a movie coming out next year. But he's also been on tons of TV, Boston Public, Law and Order, Hercules, Xena, X-Files, Smallville, Psych, 24, Charmed, Stargate, Andromeda, Minds, 21 Jump Street, Chuck. He played 2 different roles on 24. So that's interesting. He's in Star Trek, Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Online. So a lot of, just definitely someone you're like, holy cow, okay, I know exactly who that is when you see it. Caspian Sea is the world's largest inland body of water. It could be the largest lake or full-fledged sea. It's a basin without outflows. It's located between Europe and Asia. On this broad steppe of Central Asia, it's 143,000 square miles, 371,000 kilometers. That doesn't count detached lagoon. It has 1.2% salinity. It's a third of seawater. Kazakhstan on the northeast, Russia to the northwest, Azerbaijan to the west, Iran to the south, Turkmenistan to the southeast. Well known for a lot of animal and plant diversity. It has its main freshwater inflows from the Volga River, which enters at the shallow north end. Let's see what else. I just want to talk about it. Its formation is a remnant of an ancient sea. Its seafloor is the oceanic basalt, and not continental granite. It got landlocked over 5.5 million years ago due to tectonic uplift and the fall in the sea level. It's largest inland body of water, 40 to 44% of the total lacustrine waters of the world. So cool. I mean, I love the sea. Its characteristics common to seas and lakes. This is all from Wikipedia. It's not a freshwater lake, but it contains 3.5 times more water than all of the Great Lakes combined. And the sea level has risen and fallen over the history of it. And it has a lot of flora and fauna. You can read more about it if you have our link. Let's see. We got 44 minutes here. So let's do A Few Good Men, and then we'll see what else we have. Now, I was really surprised. I didn't see this. This movie came out in 1992. I would have bet 99. And one of the reasons it's so catchy is it was written by Aaron Sorkin, which I didn't know. He originally had a play by this name. And it's a classic. Again, I thought it was more modern than 92, which tells me that a lot of people probably haven't seen it. It's Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore. It's a Rob Reiner film. Kevin Bacon, Kevin Pollak, Kiefer Sutherland's even in it. James Marshall, J.T. Walsh, Wolfgang Bodison act in it. It's produced by Castle Rock, distributed by Columbia. Came out in the holiday season in 92. A little bit over 2 hours. Budget was like 30 to 40 mil. It made 240 plus in the box office. And contains, you can't handle the truth is the most famous line from the movie. But again, it really had this. Really, if you haven't seen it, it's a movie worth checking out. I remember the last time I watched it. It was probably in the last 5 years, maybe 6 years. And again, I was somewhere else and I had something to do. And then it came on like cable probably at a hotel room or something. And I got sucked right in. And I said, wow, I forgot how good this is. And a lot of the roles, like I think Demi Moore and Kevin Pollak's roles are definitely very underrated. So definitely a movie worth checking out. Let's see what else. The Kitmer incident or whatever. Let's look that up. Or Kitmer. It's an inhabited planet in the Kitmer system. And it was a vital role in the Klingon Federation Alliance, as well as the site of the Kitmer Conference. Because when the Romulans snuck in there, let's see, I think that's like, it was a neutral site for the Federation of the Klingon Empire. This is like 2293, near the Romulan border. And that's when they had a conference there, the Kitmer Accords. And then in 2346, the Klingons had a colony there, and then some Romulans snuck in. And I guess that was like whatever his name is, dad, and not Worf's dad, who's fully innocent, of course. But yeah, it was also in novels and a few other episodes. But yeah, I did want to learn a little bit about that. Let's see. What about Prince Caspian? To be Prince Caspian float upon the waves, this fish sings. I think this is from the film, though. This is a fictional character in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Noble, handsome, brave, and merry, strives for fairness and justice, devoted king, also known as Caspian the Seafarer. A young nephew and heir to King Miraz of Narnia. 1,300 years have passed. Let's see. They have the mythical, when he's a small boy, he hears all the stories about the history. He has to deal with his uncle. I guess I don't want to do any of that. But he's in those books. Also was there's a television serial of it produced by the BBC. And then the movies, which didn't fully get made out. I guess they made, I don't know. I don't see the movies listed here. Yeah, but that's a little bit about Prince Caspian. What about Klingon? Let's see. This is from Wikipedia page. They were developed in 1967 for the original Star Trek series. Feudal, authoritarian warriors, and as the makeup effects things, they were redesigned for Star Trek The Motion Picture. That's when they got their foreheads and kind of made out to be a little bit samurai-esque, I guess. And they were recurring antagonists in the 60s Star Trek and the feature films. Then in Next Generation, they became a close ally of humanity. And in the 90s in Deep Space Nine, they all joined together. Let's see. They have the Klingon language, which was developed by Mark Orkland, suggested by James Doohan. And it's it is the most popular fictional language. Yeah, let's see. They were changed for the motion picture. And no Klingon characters were in Wrath of Khan, but they were in Search for Spock. And they got deeper depiction in The Next Generation with Worf. And let's see, there's a lot here, so I'll link to it. Changes in appearance, biology, robust and enduring biology. Let's see, the spiritual people that took over their own gods. They instead of the big farm in the sky, they can go to Stove or Core or Gray Thor. So that's where instead of the big farm, spiritual leaders coalesce, messianic historical figure. She has her own sword, sword of coalesce. And let's see, they have their own language, as we talked about. They have their own ships, cloaking technology. Their homeworld has several names, just like we call Earth, Earth, or Terra. They just call it home. What the heck? This is our home. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it. I'll link to that. There's just a little bit more about the Klingons. And yeah, so that's tonight's episode. Another great Worf-related one where we get to know Worf even better. So good night. Here's some thank yous. All right, I want to thank everybody who reviewed the show over on Apple Podcasts, which you can do in the app or using iTunes or the future Apple Podcast desktop app. Susie Ducky did not enjoy the podcast. I think it was their first time. Yeah, they just didn't enjoy the podcast. And let's see, Lindsay F, though, said, fell asleep thanks to this pod. Thanks, Lindsay. Love this podcast. I'm able to fall asleep faster on nights I listen. Winner in my book and regular in my sleepy time podcast rotation. Jan B and Megan C together. Thanks, and good night. Not only does this help me fall asleep, but the content steers dreams to a weird but comforting direction. Wish I found it sooner. Introduce it to my daughter. We're so proud we could dance. Special thank you to Corrugator from our very wise cats. Thank you. And I'll send my best to the Corrugator. SoCal TNT. Finally a cure after a long time lying awake, decades. Thanks for creating this series. I've been dealing with insomnia for 1 to 2 week stretches for about 30 years. After trying every fix online and at the doctor's, this show really worked. For the last few months, I found the podcast I don't fret anymore when I get jolted awake in the middle of the night by a rogue thought or noise. Just to reach for my headphone, according to my monitoring app, I'm back in dreamland in 5 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Here's I don't know if this is a radio station, but it's Buddy 37X. It's Buddy Radio 37X, Buddy Radio. I added the radio. Thanks, Buddy 37X. It could be some sort of bot though. But maybe there's a new My Buddy Android version. But Buddy, the reviewer 37X says, wonderful podcast, always helps me fall asleep. I used to listen to stand-up comedy, but this lets my mind wander. Love the podcast. I would recommend if you have trouble falling asleep. MC 888, EMC 888, so not EMC squared. EMC space 888 says, I sleep listening every night. Thank you, Scooter. Longtime fan, Patreon supporter. Thankful for the podcast. I've always had trouble sleeping with Scoots telling me a story. I get to sleep, stay asleep longer. Thank you. JWald77. Love my boar bud. Don't necessarily have trouble sleeping, but I deal with anxiety, depression, which worsen at night when I'm alone with my thoughts. This show makes sure I'm not alone and with those thoughts and really helps me relax and forget about my lizard brain. Thanks, Scoots. Thank you, JWald. OMG. All taken G's from Australia says, works every time. It takes an episode or two to get into the swing, but now I can't fall asleep without it. And I got huge sleeping problems. Thanks for giving me a good night's sleep. Erica R says, I lost my spot. Erica R says, can't sleep without Scooter. To be honest, sometimes I can't sleep with Scooter, but at least he keeps me company while I lie awake and listen to my husband and dog snore. You can tell it's genuine, really wants to help people sleep or help them get through the hard nights. Can't even express how much finding this podcast has helped me. I'm glad to give back via Patreon for valuable service on top of insomnia. I deal with chronic migraines and anxiety. Anyone that has issues and they spend a lot of time in bed, like I do with my migraines, knows it can get boring. Can't use my eyes to watch TV or read. So I become accustomed to lying awake and listening to sleep with me. Wow, this is really touching. When I get bad ones, it helps so much. Creaky dulcets don't take my migraines away. But Scooter's pleasant company and his soothing tones don't irritate either. Podcast is soothing rambling. It turns your brain off for a while and lets you zone out. Incredibly funny and delightful. Keep playing it all night, most nights. Can't recommend enough. Thank you, Erica. Pike Meister says, best sleep I've gotten, much better than listening to comedy on the radio. And I think that's it. Let me just, but this one is Tyrannosaurus Lex 8. Very effective. It took a couple times for me to understand. I'm able to zone out right away. Rambling around allows my mind to wander. It doesn't allow me to focus on things that keep me up. Wonderfully boring. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for reviewing the show over on Apple Podcasts. Sleep With Me exists as a podcast because of people that support the show directly via the sponsors or Patreon. It grows by people just spreading the natural word about the show. Just sharing their natural experience. Sleep With Me is a proud member of Night Vale Presents. You can check out all the amazing podcasts at nightvalepresents.com, including one of my favorites. Just got to see a season 3 related episode live at PodX. And you can listen to the seasons in any order. There's 3 seasons. The 4th is coming out. If you get a chance to see it live too, particularly if Lee's performing, it was amazing. But you could listen to an entire season of Lee's performances in season 3. You could check out season 1 and season 2. Each season has its own story, but it's with different narrators and timelines. They do overlap, and you get to immerse yourself in this entire universe. Within the Wires is the podcast I'm talking about. I forgot to say the name. You can find it at Night Vale, within the Wires, within your podcast app of choice, or at nightvalepresents.com. We're also a member of PRX. You can see everything they're doing at prx.org. And that's it. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Plenty of other episodes ready to go, though, if you need it. Let me just get those. Let me get those, the space between your calves and your feet tucked in. I like getting tucked in there, don't you? Okay, well, it's an option. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. Good night.